Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with a brand new speed build, this time doing a kind of sweet little cottage. So I was sat thinking about what I'd like to build the other day, and I thought I'd really like to build a kind of sweet cottage for an old lady. So I've actually called this Grandma's Cottage. So this is a 2-bed, 1-bathroom build on a 30 by 20 lot in Brindleton Bay, and it comes in at just less than 100,000 simoleons. So this wasn't built with any restricted packs, and it wasn't built to a budget either. I just really wanted to build a kind of small cottage on a smaller lot, something that was really sweet. And it's been a really long time since I've built specifically for kind of like an older sim, and I imagine this would make a really nice little retirement home. So before I get stuck into the build, I just wanted to do a special shout out to one of my subscribers, which is Ben Allen. And Ben is actually undergoing some mock exams this week, so I just wanted to wish him the very best of luck with that and just give him a little shout out. So initially with this build, I actually started in a 30 by 20 lot over in Brindleton Bay, and I really like these lots, and it was actually this lot that kind of inspired the whole idea. But unfortunately it's quite a difficult one to build on, because as you can see at the moment, it's kind of surrounded by lots of trees which sort of get in the way when you're building, but it is just such a beautiful lot, so it would make a really perfect spot for this particular build. But I did end up moving it to the other side of Brindleton Bay, just where it was, I kind of had a little bit more room to sort of build. So at this particular point, I was literally just building a sweet little cottage. I wasn't specifically building it for a grandma in mind, but as I moved on to the interior, I kind of felt like it would make a really good kind of grandma's cottage. So I then decided to kind of adapt the way I was doing the interior and make it a little bit more old-fashioned. Now, I didn't do it old-fashioned in the sense that there was lots of brown sort of flowery wallpaper and kind of brown patterned carpet or anything like that. I kind of did it as tastefully as I could, like it was kind of like a young grandma that had quite a bit of taste. So it was really quite fun though doing the interior, and I always like kind of building with a particular theme in mind, because it kind of gets you using items that you wouldn't ordinarily use. And for a while I used to actually build purposefully using different items that I hadn't used in the previous build, and I've kind of stopped doing that. But I do think it's kind of a good thing to do, especially when you're doing speed builds all the time, because like I always say, you end up gravitating to your own favorites, and I think it's good sometimes just to change things up. So when I came to do this interior, I kind of used it specifically to sort of play around with different items that I wouldn't ordinarily use. So with this particular exterior, I tried to keep it really quite manicured and sweet. I just kind of feel like older people really take care of their gardens. I feel like this is a little bit stereotypical, but when I think of my own grandparents, my granddad's garden was absolutely beautiful. Like, he spent so much time in it. I swear he used to manicure that lawn with a pair of scissors. It was just perfection. And I remember doing the school run back in my old town, and we used to pass this specific house, and no matter what time of the year it was, this little old man was always pottering around in his garden, and it was just absolutely pristine. So I kind of had all that in mind when I was sort of doing the exterior of this cottage, and I wanted it again to just be really quite clean and sweet. So the other good thing about this build as well is, even though it looks as though there is a second floor, there isn't. It's just a 1-floor build. So if you're anything like me and you like playing The Sims on just 1-level homes, then this would make kind of like the perfect starter home. And even though this comes in at 100,000 simoleons, you can always download it completely unfurnished, and it will take a lot of that value away. And in actual fact, I've literally just opened my game and downloaded this unfurnished, and it actually comes in at just less than 38,000 simoleons. So if you were actually going to use this house for an elderly sim, the chances are they've got quite a bit of money now, and you could probably comfortably afford this house. So on the outside of this build, I did go ahead and add some activities and skill building items. So we've got an easel as well as some planters, and there's plenty of places to sit as well. I put a little bench at the front as well as this seating sitting area at the back, and then there's a kind of like a couple of wooden benches, which I think are really sweet on the actual sort of verandas of the build as well. So I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone that submitted builds for my renovation series. I'm actually working on one at the moment, which I'm really excited to do. The backstory on the house as well was absolutely brilliant, and I immediately fell in love with it. So I'm getting started on that renovation series, and hopefully that will be coming out soon. So now that we've kind of passed Halloween, I think the next major holiday is going to be Christmas time or Winterfest if you're thinking about The Sims. And I think I'm going to get stuck into some kind of wintry builds, and I'm really looking forward to this. I've been actually looking forward to it for a really long time, and it's been the longest time since I've done sort of a Christmassy, wintry inspired build. I think the one that I did last year was actually using the mod, kind of like the seasons mod. And I remember thinking at the time, I really wish we had seasons in this game. Like, is it ever going to happen? So I'm really excited to actually officially build a wintry type home using seasons. And yeah, I'm excited for it. Plus, I also wanted to say a real nice warm welcome to everybody that's new to my channel. This channel is just still growing thick and fast, and I can't say thank you enough to each and every one of you. So I did just want to say a massive warm welcome to everybody that's new, and I really hope you enjoy your stay. So I'm just moving on to the interior now, and as you can see, I did actually include the floor plan in this particular build. I probably will at some point do some kind of quick tutorial on how I do my floor plans, but in all honesty, I would say not a lot of thought goes into them, but not in the respect that they don't work, because they absolutely do work, but just that I'm not really as finicky about floor plans as some people are. I know some people really sit and think about which rooms should be where and what size they should be and what they should include, and in all honesty, a lot of the time mine are just really quite simple, so that's why I've not done it yet. But I'd say it was around this time that I started to think, actually, this cottage would be really, really sweet for an elderly lady. So I decided, or it could be like an elderly man or a couple. It's not specifically kind of girly or for an elderly lady as such. It could be for either, but it is very sort of feminine. I do think a lot of the colours are a bit more feminine, and I sort of imagine, like, at this point, an elderly lady living here with a cat. I feel like that again is very stereotypical, but this is what I had in mind when I was building. So I actually got into the swing of things quite fast with this build once I'd got all of this in mind, and I do find that that's a lot easier as well. I think if you ever get stuck with building and you're not entirely sure what to build, or you feel like you've kind of hit that builder's block, try kind of creating a family, or even having a look on the gallery for some different families, because I think once you see a family with a personality, it can make kind of doing interiors and things like that so much easier, because you can kind of imagine, what kind of people they are, what colours they'd like, what furniture they'd like, and it kind of evolves around that. So I'm just moving on to the living room now, and I was actually really happy that I managed to use these really high-backed sofas, and I never kind of find the right place to put them, or even if I do, I completely forget that they exist. And so I managed to use them in this build. I think they make kind of the perfect elderly person's chair. And I actually really love these chairs as well, because they come in some really beautiful swatches. And I also managed to use these curtains. Now, a while ago, I actually used these curtains, and I think I said in that particular build, this is the first time I've ever used them, and it will probably be the last time. But I actually found this swatch of colour, and I thought they looked really, really pretty. And especially in the kind of guest bedroom that I did, I included them in that, and it just went really, really well with the colours in there. So I kind of retract that statement a little bit. I think I could actually be tempted to use those a bit more in my builds in the future, and I didn't think I'd ever say that. But with regards to this living room, I just wanted to make it really, really cozy and warm. I think especially if you're an older person, it's kind of important, especially if you live in kind of a colder country, to really keep nice and wrapped up and warm. So I created this sort of really cozy living room. There was lots of stuff in it as well, and I also included included like the pet bed and the cat scratching post and stuff like that. So this is kind of like the master bedroom, and it's kind of a small bedroom, but it didn't really need to be massive anyway, and it included everything in it that I needed to, but I had to use this particular swatch of bed, because I just feel like this whole patchwork quilt thing is exactly what I would love if I was older. In fact, I wouldn't mind one now, if I'm honest. But yeah, I kind of went for this like really kind of colourful, sort of yellowy, greeny sort of look that kind of matched the bed. But this is the bathroom, and I decided to include it this time because I don't always include bathrooms in my builds, and sometimes people are like, where are the bathrooms? And yeah, so I decided to include it this time, and it was just very neutral. I did include kind of like the bath and the shower combination, so if you wanted to have a pet dog, or you were babysitting your little nieces or grandchildren or whatever it may be, then you had a bath available. But the second bedroom in this build was actually quite small, and decided to make it into kind of like a guest room. I know when I was little, whenever I stayed over at my grandparents' house, they would have like this guest room that we would sleep in, and it wasn't specifically done for kids or anything like that. It was just like one of those generic guest rooms that you can stay in. But I actually really like the way this wallpaper went with these curtains, like I said earlier on. I just felt like it was such a great combination, and I definitely used a lot of items in this build that I wouldn't ordinarily use. But this is the final room, and I wasn't really sure what to do with this room because it was really small, so I decided to make it into a little bit of an office area, and I included kind of like this bookcase and a little chair as well. I just thought it was kind of like a nice small quiet room where you could maybe sit and do a bit of reading, or kind of catch up on some book writing, or I don't know, whatever you wanted to do in this room. But it was a bit of an activities and skill building room. But I really hope you've had a lovely weekend and you all have a fantastic week. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, it'd be amazing to have you on board. And if you want to take part in the renovation series, the hashtag for uploading the build is in the description box below. But take care guys, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!